Hello, jazz fans. Today we are discussing none other than Duke Ellington. He is from Washington, D.C., one of the greatest American composers of all time. The tune we're listening to today is called the C-Jam Blues, a unique tune in that it only has two notes in the melody, a G and a C. What more could you need? So Duke Ellington started out life the son of working class people in Washington, D.C. His dad worked in the food industry as a caterer, worked at the White House, in fact. So Duke Ellington grew up thinking people dressing really nice and fancy was a normal thing. His first job was actually selling peanuts at baseball games. So I don't know if they were called the Washington Nationals back then, but I'm sure there were. His real name was Edward Kennedy Ellington, but he really dressed nice. You know, he grew up seeing his folks always dressed up. So he was a very, very snappy dresser. And his friends kind of teased him by calling him Duke. You know, they could have called him King or Baron or something, but Baron Ellington just doesn't have the same ring to it. So it was kind of making fun of him calling him Duke, but that's what it was. He had his own bands growing up, but when he really made it the big time was when he moved to New York and had his band play at the Cotton Club. And this is an all-white club, and his was an all-black band. So they couldn't step off the band because that would, be mixing with the gentry, and that wasn't allowed. But people would come from far and wide to hear him. He had some very, very dedicated performers that stayed with him a long time. His lead alto player was one of those. I just blanked on his name. But anyway, the person that stayed with him the longest was his bass sax player. 47 years he played in Duke Ellington's band, and that was Harry Carney. So if you're ever playing bass sax and you're playing Ellington tunes, you gotta, find a recording of the immeasurably awesome Harry Carney. Check him out. I mentioned it earlier, but a lot of people think of all American composers, Duke Ellington is the top. Some people have said he wrote just as much music as Bach or Telemann during the Baroque time period, but he wrote for every different style and genre. Mostly he's known for jazz music, but he wrote orchestral suites and ballets and everything else. In fact, he took the Peter Tchaikovsky Nutcracker ballet music and rearranged it for orchestra and for jazz band. So instead of Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, you get Sugar Rum Cherry. And it's wonderful. You should check that out. I know the Spokane Jazz Orchestra does a live performance of that every few years. So at some point, hopefully, you'll get to see that live. Without a doubt, his most famous piece was called Mood Indigo. And that's one that really helped set his band aside. Got tons of airplay on the radio. So I don't even know how many millions of recordings it sold. But yeah, Mood Indigo is kind of one of his signature tunes. And he also is one of the very few musicians and artists that received the highest civilian honor that you can receive in the United States. And that's the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And he was awarded that by Richard Nixon while he was kind of at the height of his career. Usually to earn that, people are pretty up there in age. But Duke Ellington was in the late 60s when he was awarded this. So let's take a little listen. I've got a clip from a film called Jam Session. So let's watch this here. Maybe. There we go. Probably an ad, sorry. Oh, nope, here we go. these are all the guys in his band. Just coming in, walking in off the street into this little club. The violin player there, his name is Ray Nance. He also played pretty mean cornet. There's his fan club. So Ben Webster is a giant of the tenor saxophone world. So he has that pixie mute way deep inside the bell there. That's how you get that kind of growling sound out of the trombone. There's Betty Biggard. Hey, can I play drums? Yeah, Sonny Greer. So, that's C-Jam Blues. Hope you enjoyed it. It's good stuff.